Hi, I am Carrington Davis. The day senior speech assignments came out, I got a text from Amelia saying, OMG, you might be introducing me for my senior speech. Fate decided that I got to introduce one of my best friends. Amelia and I go way back, but we became very close freshman year after we developed a somewhat obsessive love for Harry Styles. I would like to formally apologize for fueling her obsession and causing her to fall into the development of a habit of watching Harry Styles' funny interview moments until 3 a.m. almost the entire second semester of freshman year. While a majority of our conversations during 9th grade were about Harry Styles and where he was that day, the other conversations we had would always brighten my day, even our small bickers here and there. Amelia is my best friend, and she is always there for you no matter what, even when you annoyingly drag her into your annoying obsessions. She is charismatic, loving, empathetic, great at giving advice, and a little strange sometimes. She brings out the best in people, including me, and I know that what she has to say today will be worth listening to. So please, listen up and put your hands together for Amelia and Quinlen.
Let me set the scene. Disney World, 2008. 4-year-old me holding my mom's hand as I tentatively step into the boat at the It's a Small World ride. I'm already doubting the structural integrity of this flimsy-looking craft when suddenly the world tilts on its axis and my heart jumps in my chest. I look to my right and see giant feet, followed by legs seemingly a mile long. I look up into my dad's face in terror as he settles into his seat next to me. And I begin sobbing, "No, Dad, no, you can't ride with me. You're gonna sink the boat." My life flashes before my eyes as I imagine myself drowning, sinking into the dark depths of the little canal. 6 months later, I'm having the time of my life, tubing on the lake with my cousin and bestie Ruthie. When we finally slow to a stop, my dad pulls us in by the rope and says the words that I will never forget. "I'm coming aboard." I actually have no idea what he said, but I do know that at that moment, tears welling in my eyes, I again began to fear for my life, crying, "Please, Dad, don't, you're gonna sink the tube." Now, 13 years later, here I am, alive and well, not lying at the bottom of Sardis Lake or It's a Small World's murky waters. My dad made it out okay too, and to date is not known to be responsible for the sinking of any vessels. Unfortunately, my irrational fears are also still alive and well. Maybe you have heard of the Enneagram, but for those of you who haven't, it's an emotionally focused system of understanding people, honing in on one's core emotional motivations, fears, and internal dynamics. There are 9 types, and after taking an online test, I discovered that I am a type 6, nicknamed the Loyalist. The Loyalist, gently put, is security-oriented and defensive, evasive, anxious, cautious, suspicious, indecisive, and self-doubting. A type 6 is motivated by fear. Now, I did only name the negative attributes, but the good stuff, like being loyal, trustworthy, and hardworking, is irrelevant right now. When I allow the bad stuff, my fear, to control me, I become angry and pretty closed off, and I'm not a vulnerable person in the first place. I try to hide my weaknesses and put up a tough front and act unbothered. And apparently it works, because multiple people have told me something along the lines of, "You seem so self-assured, so fearless." Keywords seem, because in fact, I am the exact opposite. I'm a worst-case scenario thinker who fears that every decision is the wrong decision, who worries how people perceive me, who's always regretting and considering how every situation could go wrong. Okay, that's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but not far off. My dad, the previously mentioned antagonist, is the opposite. Though we share a million similarities, we complement each other well, and that a lot of his strengths mirror my weaknesses. For example, he is fearless to the extreme, some would even say foolishly so. My grandfather once said of him that if on a flight attendant announced that the pilot was out of commission, the plane was going down, and they needed someone to land it, my dad, without pause, would throw his hand in the air and say, "Yeah, I'll do it," even though he has no idea how to fly a plane. But he'd probably figure it out. If you don't know him or what he looks like, he's a 6'3" bear of a man. You can probably all see his head sticking up right there. He doesn't need to put up a tough front. He already looks scary enough. I know that any lacrosse players who have been under his tutelage can attest to that. But his intimidating exterior actually belies his true nature, because in this large man, there is an extra large heart, as well as an easily contented, childlike spirit. I've never known him to have an ulterior motive, and he's quick to serve others. He shows respect to everyone he meets, regardless of their station in life, with the possible exceptions of lacrosse referees and slow drivers in the fast lane. He has a heart driven by and in pursuit of justice and righteousness, which I have learned stems from having a firm foundation of principles, and his principles come from his faith, our faith. Dad isn't perfect by any means. My mom would be more than happy to back me up on that. But his assuredness in what he believes and who he believes in yields a perceptible confidence and certitude in him with which he leads his life. I often take him for granted, I know, but I'm thankful God knew just what kind of father I needed. He doesn't question and doubt as I do, nor does he waste much time worrying what people think about him, because he doesn't give undue weight to those more trivial details in life that distract from adhering to his guiding principles. He gives me an example to follow and a strength of faith for which to strive. One of Dad's and my favorite quotes is from C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Sisters Susan and Lucy question Mr. and Mrs. Beaver about Aslan, this lion prince, this savior they're going to meet. They ask apprehensively, "Is he quite safe?" Mr. Beaver scoffs and replies, "Safe? Who said anything about safe? Of course he isn't safe, but he's good." Now, in this novel, Aslan is a Christ figure, so I just want to be clear that I am not equating my father with God. But that quote is a good representation of the way Dad lives, and that is the mission of our lives, to work towards more closely resembling the characteristics of our God. Maybe Dad's not the safest on the surface. My mom often says she's shocked he's even still alive, but he is good. He didn't sink that boat, or that tube, and now I feel foolish for ever being afraid. Fears will always be present in my mind, for life on earth is uncertain, unpredictable, and living according to the example Christ set is sometimes uncomfortable, and certainly not safe. The authorities executed Jesus, but it is a good life. And in the midst of all the turmoil, I have a rock on which to stand, a purpose for my time, and I'm grateful to have an emblem of that purpose in my father, imperfect though he may be. I'm grateful to have the contrast of his personality to mine. It makes all the difference for a type 6 like me to see that despite my fear of the dangers around us, God is greater than them all, and he is faithful to keep the boat upright and headed for its intended destination. Thank you.